Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. We are going to continue today with those 2018 Mojo figures that we started last week when we reviewed the Giganotosaurus and Baryonyx. Well, today we are looking at, and as you can see, the Diplodocus. Overall, the Diplodocus at first glance looks really cool, and one thing that is a plus is it doesn't appear that the actual color scheme has changed too much from what we saw in the promotional images. Maybe includes a little more of the yellow underside than it did in the prototype, but it still looks really cool. I will say that the brighter coloration definitely throws it off a little, and you can see that overall the body is heavily shrink wrapped, but aside from those issues, I still think it looks really cool. But the only way to tell how cool is to get a closer look, so let's go ahead and do that now. So starting up here at the head, you can see that the head sculpt is really quite nice. You can actually see the teeth in there as well, which they're not painted perfectly, but that's kind of become a trend with the Mojo figures, but it doesn't look terrible. It looks pretty good. The eye itself is painted pretty well, but I feel like maybe they applied a little too much paint to the eye because it kind of appears as though the eye color has kind of just become like the entire eye area color. But I don't know, maybe that's meant to be that way. I could be wrong. I'm going off the assumption that the yellow is basically the coloration of the eye, with the black being the pupil, but maybe the yellow is just supposed to be the coloration around the eye, but the actual eye itself is just completely black. I'm not sure if that's what the goal was here with the eye, and honestly, the more I look at it, actually, the more appealing it gets to me. It really doesn't look bad at all. And really looks quite nice. Again, the teeth are painted, but they're not perfect, but they don't look bad. And the overall detailing and sculpt on the head looks pretty good. Definitely looks nice. You can actually see the nostrils there. They're sculpted pretty nicely. The overall head sculpt does look pretty good. I definitely like it. Then we start to lead down the neck, and you can see some very nice skin detail. Lots and lots of creases in the skin. And the overall sculpting, I love the way that the dinosaur's head is turning to the right. And look at the sculpting here of the skin on the underside of the neck. It really shows the motion of the dinosaur and the way it's moving its head. So that is really nice attention to detail that really looks quite impressive. Even the way the skin is creased the whole way down really kind of just shows the motion of the dinosaur, honestly. Especially under here. I can't get over how nice that looks right there. But if you really look, you can see that the just the way the creases look and appear, the whole way the neck is turning, you can just see it kind of just shines through with the sculpt work here of the neck, and I'm sure the other side is just the same way. Look at that. That's really nice work. I really love the all the skin folds and the hanging skin and everything. It just kind of makes it appear as though it's a very large animal. So overall, I really think that the sculpt work of the neck and all the detail included in the neck just looks really good on this figure. And you can actually see the green coloration isn't the only coloration up here in the upper area, as you kind of have a white stripe that starts a little bit here behind the head and then goes maybe a quarter of the way down the neck. And it looks pretty good. It just kind of makes it look a little striking and just brings your attention to that general area. So that was a nice little touch on the part of Mojo. And then we get down here into the bottom of the neck, and in the base area you can see that these stripes kind of start to appear, and they don't run too far down, only onto the upper part of the tail, but I think it's just enough to really give it that striking look and make you take note of it, and I think it looks pretty good. The sculpting here of the shoulder looks incredible. Honestly, so much better than I would imagine it would, and a lot better than a lot of companies make their shoulder blades on their sauropods look, because you can really get an idea of the shape of the shoulder really well. It's impressive how nicely they sculpted that area out, and the bone itself just looks really good. Again, showing the shrink wrapping, but it honestly looks really good in that area. I really like it. Maybe this is like a slightly malnourished Diplodocus, which is a very cool thing if that's the route they were going to kind of tell a story with this dinosaur. Maybe he just hasn't found an area that's plentiful as far as food goes, and maybe his area has just kind of gone dry as far as food, so he's a little bit on the hungry side, kind of starting to wither away and starve a little, so it's caused him to get a little bit skinnier. As you can see, there isn't very much in the way of girth on the underside or in the stomach region, so he's a fairly thin Diplodocus, and maybe that's the reason for the bones showing so well. And I actually really like that idea behind this, if that is the idea that they came up with for it. It's really quite cool, and it's quite subtle the way that you may not even take note of that being the idea behind it, and that may not be the idea. Maybe I'm just looking a little too much into it, but I kind of feel like that might have been the theory behind this figure. Anyway, now that I'm done ranting about that for a minute there, you can see that the skin detail looks really nice, and the overall appearance of the legs looks beautiful as well. You can see that the feet are sculpted pretty nicely. The nails aren't painted terribly. It's a little sloppy with the black, but it doesn't look bad. The back feet look much better, honestly, as far as the nails go. Yeah, they definitely do. And honestly, the nails on this look a lot better than any of the carnivores that they had with the Giganotosaurus and Baryonyx that I've looked at so far. They definitely look really good. So they definitely improved that area as opposed to the other two. Not that the other two were bad, but I feel like they could have definitely been better. And then you come back into the stomach region. Very nice skin detail, and some skin folds here down at the bottom. You come back here, you can see the hip bone is quite elaborated. Some very nice musculature as we run down the thigh and then into the calf. You can just see the very nice musculature of the rear leg, and the way that the foot has been sculpted out beautifully. You can see the ankles and everything are very nicely present and sculpted really well. Some more very nice skin folds and detailing here as we come up into the tail, and the tail is very nice, very long, and very curled. And if this tail had been stretched out, this dinosaur figure would have been huge, beyond belief long, and that would have looked very cool. But for it to be a little smaller and maybe not take up quite so much room, they curled the tail in, and I definitely like that still as well. The other side, we already looked at the neck. The other side is really beautifully done as well. Nicely sculpted shoulder blade on this side. Beautiful leg in the front. You can kind of see the elbow there. And the overall scales look really nice. Coming up here into the stomach region, again, you can really see the way that the skin is folding and stuff there. It just kind of gives you an idea of the dinosaur's motion, and I really like that. I think that looks super cool. You can see the skin being pulled here as this left rear leg is stretched back a little bit, just kind of stretching the skin. Very nice attention to detail yet again. And that beautiful musculature here in the back leg looks very good as well. Nice hip bone here, sculpted out and elaborated. Again, some more hanging skin, a little bit of skin folds here on the back as we go out into the tail. And that tail, as I said before, looks beautiful. The underside actually has some very nice sculpt work as well, especially the skin hanging here in the chest area. Right there, that looks really good. And then we come back, the whole underside really looks nice. It's a very bright yellow, which I would have preferred a more dull yellow, but again, at the same time, it does not look bad. So again, with the figures that Mojo came out with for this year, for 2018, a lot of the figures are honestly fairly large in size, and this Diplodocus also is quite large. So for a size, from the tail to the head, you are looking at almost 11 inches, about 10 3/4 inches, or about 27.5 centimeters. And for a height, you are looking at about just under 5 inches, so very close to 5 inches, or about 12.5 centimeters. So pretty nicely sized for a Diplodocus, definitely a pretty large figure. And as always, for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, so you can get a pretty good idea of the size of the Diplodocus right there. Again, he's nowhere near to scale with this Rex, as he would be just completely towering over him, but you can see that it is pretty nicely sized, and it's definitely not a small figure. So this Diplodocus is really quite cool, and it's another very nice addition to the 2018 lineup by Mojo. Once again, one of the very big complaints that people have had as far as the Mojo line this year was the fact that the color schemes of these figures don't quite match up to what we saw with the prototype. And almost always with companies, it's never going to match up perfectly, but they kind of changed some things around without warning on their dinosaur figures for this year, and a lot of people weren't too happy about that. However, I still think that they do all look really quite nice so far, and this Diplodocus, although it is brighter than I would expect it to be, does still look really nice. And overall, they didn't change too much on the coloration of this one. At least they included these white stripes here up on the back, whereas with the Baryonyx, they just kind of ditched the dark brown stripes or spots or whatever that one had originally, and just completely did away with those. But here on the Diplodocus, they did still include the actual color scheme. They just brightened the colors up a bit, and mostly the yellow. But again, it doesn't look bad, honestly. I really think that this one, along with the Baryonyx, so far have probably the nicest coloration. The Giganotosaurus wasn't bad, but it was a little bit brighter than I would want it to be. And I haven't gotten a chance to really take a look at the Deinonychus quite yet. I'm going to do that with you guys very, very soon. So if you guys want to buy this Diplodocus, I definitely recommend it. I think it's a very beautiful addition to anybody's collection, especially if you are into sauropods or Diplodocus in general, because honestly we don't get very many Diplodocus figures, probably because the dinosaur is so large, so the figures are going to end up being large, and a lot of people just decide not to make them. But I think that this one is really, really quite nice, and aside from a few slight downfalls, there's nothing terrible that I would say that you shouldn't purchase it, and I think you'll like it a lot if you get it, because it is really a nice Diplodocus. So if you would like to purchase one, I will throw a link in the description to everythingdinosaur.com, where you can go ahead and pick one up for yourself. So go ahead, follow that link, go buy it if you would like, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.